After I got pregnant, my husband became even more affectionate, taking care of every little thing. I wanted to show my gratitude too, so I cooked his favorite seafood congee and carried it to Sterling for him. I accidentally overheard his conversation with Victoria. Sterling, since the baby is Sophie's and Serena is only the surrogate, why not tell Sophie the truth? Right now she's throwing a fit about moving into your house as a live-in helper. If Serena finds out, it'll be a disaster. The word struck me like lightning, my whole body went ice cold. The child in my belly was Ethan's with another woman? My husband's decisive voice rang out, can't say a word. For the sake of the family business I've already made Sophie suffer too much. Only after the birth, when I hand over both the child and the Vance assets as one grand gesture, can I make it up to her. The next day, Sophie moved into the Sterling waterfront estate as a live-in helper. Yet she acted like the mistress of the house, arrogant and overbearing, and secretly slipped abortifacient into my food. I pretended I knew nothing and spooned up every last drop of that drugged congee, then caressed my slightly rounded belly and told my husband, the new helper's great, really knows her way around a kitchen. Before we go on, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening. The very first day Sophie arrived, she tried to order my parents around when they came to visit. Of course Eleanor wouldn't take orders from a helper. During the argument Sophie slapped her hard across the face. Old hag, who do you think you are? Everything in this house belongs to Ethan. You're nothing, how dare you give me attitude? Both my parents' hearts were weak, they clutched their chests, speechless with rage. I rushed down the stairs, grabbed Sophie by the hair, and slammed her head against the coffee table. And what the hell are you, speaking to my parents like that? Of course I knew exactly who she was. Ethan's sheltered white moon, kept outside, coddled and never crossed. Now with her head split open and blood trickling over her eyes, she looked half-crazed, hatred burning like she wanted me dead. You dare hit me? Listen, bitch, I'm Ethan's cousin. Ethan burst through the door almost at a run and strode in. Sophie's my distant cousin. Serena, she didn't realize who your parents were, don't hold it against her. Only then did I release Sophie's hair, giving a dawning smile. Oh, so she's family. I thought some lunatic had wandered in, deluded herself into thinking she owned the place and started biting people. Ethan, if she's a guest, why make her a helper? Is she naturally servile? Does she enjoy waiting on people? Sophie clenched her jaw so hard it trembled. If Ethan hadn't kept his arms locked around her she'd have lunged and bitten me. Ethan's smile was strained. Sophie just graduated and had nowhere to stay, so I let her move in. Having her work as a helper gives her a taste of a real job. Serena, spend time with your parents. I'll take Sophie aside and tell her to cool it. Before I could answer, Ethan hauled Sophie into the bedroom. I acted as though nothing had happened and urged my parents to head home. As they left, Richard's beard quivered, his eyes full of worry. Ethan never mentioned any distant relatives. How does a cousin pop up overnight? The way they act around each other, that relationship is anything but normal. Serena, ever since you saved Ethan from bankruptcy he's grown colder. The life debt you owed him is paid. Your mother and I are retired, we can't shield you much longer. Don't let sentiment bury the rest of your happiness. I blinked, momentarily at a loss for how to respond to their concern. Since marrying Ethan, I had treated him as the closest person in my life, never once on guard. When he grew distant, I clung harder and gave even more. Once the pregnancy began he turned warm again, and I practical. Ly thrust all my assets into his hands. Just as I was about to be drained dry, the whole ugly truth surfaced. I rubbed my eyes. When I looked up again my gaze was icy. Don't worry, Mom and Dad. Ethan won't get another cent out of me. Whatever he once owed me, I'll collect, with interest. I unlocked my phone, the feed from the hidden camera in Sophie's bedroom sprang to life. The two of them had locked the door and were already locked in a frantic kiss. Ethan, you swore you loved only me. Serena called me trash, why didn't you defend me? Ethan pinned Sophie to the mattress. Darling, bear it a little longer. 6 months at most, and I'll give you an answer you deserve. I was already 4 months along, in 6 more I would deliver. I remembered discovering the pregnancy right after a car crash. I woke from unconsciousness to Ethan waving the ultrasound, thrilled that our love had created a life. For a full month afterward he never left my side, and the joy of impending motherhood drowned out every bodily discomfort. I never imagined the life inside me was the product of a surrogacy he'd bought from the hospital, the child of him and Sophie. The conversation between him and Victoria replayed uncontrollably in my head. Sterling, since Sophie is carrying your baby, why not let her give birth? I think hiding the truth from both women and implanting the embryo via surrogacy is too risky. Ethan's tone was adamant. You don't get it. Sophie's health is fragile. How could I let her endure 9 months of misery? Having Serena carry the baby spares Sophie and keeps Serena preoccupied with the pregnancy while I take full control of Sterling. Put in extra hours. By the time that child is born, I want every last Vance asset transferred out. I'll box it up with a bow for Sophie. Perhaps stirred by the emotions, a sharp cramp knifed through my abdomen again. Sophie's body might be weak, but mine was worse. To pull Ethan back from the brink, I'd gone everywhere as the Vance heiress, drinking until my stomach was shredded, and the crash had left lingering injuries. 4 months in, every day felt like an ordeal. Yet for the baby's sake I wouldn't swallow even a painkiller. I gritted my teeth and endured. Tears had just slipped down when Ethan's voice came from the phone again. They'd finished their tryst, but he still held Sophie, gentleness in his eyes I had never seen. Sophie, you begged to live here and I agreed. But you promised you'd behave. Why pick a fight with Serena in front of her parents on day one? Sophie gave a sulky snort. You love me, so why is Serena the lady of the house while I have to hide? I can't stand it. Sweetheart, if I don't keep her happy, how can I give you this life? Wait a little longer. Once I've squeezed Serena dry, once she's useless, you can trample her all you like. I couldn't stand another second of it. I shut off my phone and sat in silence until the fury finally crusted over. Secret surrogacy, a plot to steal my inheritance, and somehow I was the villain in their story. At the table, Sophie took her seat as the cousin. I dug my nails into my palms so hard I felt skin threaten to break, yet I smiled straight at her. Serena, your cousin still hasn't found a job, so she'll need to stay a while longer, Ethan said smoothly. Officially she's the live-in helper, but blood is blood. Don't be too hard on her. I caught Sophie's hand in both of mine, all warmth. How could I? Ethan, you're so worried about my pregnancy you won't let me near the office. I'm bored out of my mind here, I'd kill for company. Sophie, we started off on the wrong foot. Let's wipe the slate clean. If we get along, maybe I'll ask the baby to call you godmother, how's that? Every time I mentioned the child, Sophie's face chilled to iron. I beamed. What, not tempted? The baby's inside me, I can hardly ask it to call you mom, can I? The joking jab made Ethan freeze for a heartbeat before he seized my wrist to change the subject. Alright, enough teasing. Sophie's shy, you'll make her blush. Sweetheart, that piece of jewelry you liked? I pulled it from the auction house, open it. Like a conjurer he produced a velvet box, draped the diamond necklace around my throat, eyes shining with what looked like genuine devotion. He cooed that I must rest, leave Sterling to him. Once our child arrived he'd clear a whole month and sweep me round the world. My face glowed, my heart was ice. Because the stones he'd clasped on me weren't worth a tenth of the heart of ocean he'd already given Sophie. Behind that soft smile lurked a viper, every kiss, every promise, only grease to ease his grab at my assets and coax me to deliver his and Sophie's baby. Next morning I loitered over breakfast until Sophie appeared. The instant we met I clasped her hand. Ethan's gone. We can drop the act. You debased yourself to play housemaid just to stay near him, how touching. Tell you what, be my dog and I'll keep your kennel right here. Sophie flinched and flung me off. You know who I am? Of course. Ethan's kept pet. I was going to have someone ruin you, but now that I'm carrying his child you're nothing but a joke to me. Before I could finish she was shaking. Liar. I'm the woman he loves, your belly changes nothing. I laughed in her face. Really? Then why, after you miscarried, did he comfort you for 5 minutes before getting me pregnant? Think he moved you into the estate because he adores you? Wake up, he wanted me to find you so I'd scrape you off for him. Disbelief contorted her, she shoved me aside and started for Ethan's room. I yanked her back. Run to him, do you expect truth? Sophie, watch what he does. I'm Serena, crown princess, your gutter trash he can't parade. He'll never choose you. No matter how often he swore love, she had stayed hidden, that erosion of safety drove her rabid. Bitch, she shrieked, lunging. You're the gutter whore who stole him. We clawed each other. I twisted my ankle and, off balance, dragged her down the short carpeted stairs. The fall couldn't have hurt either of us, yet Sophie wailed as though bones had snapped. Her scream fetched Ethan and every housekeeper. My husband of 7 years didn't spare me a glance. Instincts hurled him at her, voice cracking. Sweetheart, are you hurt? Does anything ache? The staff traded knowing looks. Sophie reveled, arms looping Ethan's neck. I'm aching everywhere. Stay home today. Take me to ST for checks? Ethan bent to lift her. I pressed my belly and said calmly, Ethan, cramps. One sentence, and he dropped her, rushing to me. Sophie shrieked. Ethan, Serena yanked me down on purpose. Ethan paused, venom flickered in his eyes. Did she? I didn't bother denying it. I slipped and dragged her. My fault. Guilty as charged. Ethan didn't know the subtext, but Sophie and I did, a silent duel, and I'd won. He carried me to the hospital and left her on the stairs. Yet his patience ran thin. Once the obstetrician declared the fetus fine, he invented a board crisis and fled home. The hidden cameras caught everything: Sophie rampaging, smashing vases. The housekeeper who rebuked her earned a split lip from Ethan. Every servant was summoned and handed a fat envelope. While I'm out, Sophie is mistress of this house. Disobey her and I'll destroy you. Of course, when Serena's around, pretend nothing's changed, understood? After they scattered, Sophie glared through tears. So I'm still second string? Ethan crushed her to his chest. Stop it. I care about the baby inside her. Wait a little longer. Once she delivers, I'll give you anything. Endure for now. I knew the truth. The life inside me belonged to Ethan and Sophie. But Sophie didn't know. Behind Ethan's back she ordered several doses of abortifacient. I hated the antiseptic hospital air and checked myself out early. Ethan cooed over Sophie a few days, her manner thawed. When I settled at the Brea fast table she appeared in an apron, bearing a bowl of seafood congee. Serena, we're family. Let old squabbles die, Ethan said. I gave Sophie a scolding. Look how meek she is now. She even cooked supper for your homecoming. I narrowed my eyes in a smile. Ignoring the venom in Sophie's gaze, I accepted the drug-laced congee and spooned it down to the last shrimp. Then, rubbing the gentle swell of my belly, I grasped Ethan's hand. The new live-in helper is gifted, delicious. Ethan hesitated, smile brittle. Sweetheart, she's my cousin, try not to call her the help. I rapped my own forehead theatrically. Pregnancy brain. Still, Sophie plays Serval so convincingly. As I see it, why bother job hunting? Stay by my side and wait on me forever. I find her obedient little face a delight. Sophie's fingers blanched as she crushed them together, glaring at Ethan, silently begging him to defend her. Ethan only pretended not to notice, laughed it off, and changed the subject. After that, whenever I had the chance, I humiliated Sophie right in front of Ethan. For the sake of the child in my womb he swallowed every insult, and Sophie, naturally, endured far more. The next time she slipped the drug into the congee and carried it in, I studied her with amusement. So you've decided to be my dog? Good girl. Keep this debased act up and amuse me, and I might just let you stay. After all, kids love pets. When Ethan and I welcome our baby, it'll adore you. The moment the words left my mouth she slapped the empty bowl from my hand, eyes crimson. Ha! You still think you'll give birth? Dream on. I feigned shock. What do you mean, did you drug the congee? Sophie dropped the act. Yes, but a simple miscarriage is too easy for you, Serena. Trip a few times, let the fall smash that brat to death. She trembled, half crazed. I obliged, showing fear, and reached for my phone to call for help. Sophie lunged, snatched it away, and ordered the housekeepers to tie me up. Why ringed me like wolves? I shouted, I'm the mistress of this house, who dares touch me? Sophie sneered through clenched teeth. Mistress? In Ethan's eyes you're nothing but a tool. Listen up, all of you. Ethan said anyone who disobeys me will regret it. Bind Serena and each of you gets 100 grand. I'll take full responsibility. Stick to the story, she tripped and lost the baby. Threats and money turned every servant to her side. They bound me tight. Sophie herself fetched a padded quilt and a wooden rod. She laid the quilt over my belly and smashed down again and again. Agony convulsed me, I shrieked. Madness consumed her, each blow harder than the last. Ethan never loved you. He's only kind because of that child. Once it's dead, he'll be mine again, spoiling me like before. A warm wetness spread between my thighs. I looked, blood pooled beneath me. Only then did I drop the act and laugh in pure triumph. Sophie had murdered her own child. When Ethan found out, how would he react? He arrived minutes later, shaking so violently he could barely shuffle toward me, arms hovering, afraid to touch. The baby, my baby, I cut in, voice cold. Dead. Beaten to death by Sophie with her own hands. That grand gesture you prepared for your true love? Looks like you'll never get to deliver it. Ethan clenched his jaw. You knew? Ignoring the pain, I grinned in savage delight. Of course. Why do you think I kept Sophie around? Ethan, I was waiting for this exact moment. When I first uncovered the full truth, I broke down and sped to St. Private Hospital to abort. Then it hit me, Ethan's donations kept that clinic alive. If he could bribe surgeons to implant another woman's embryo inside me without consent, he could just as easily pay them to swear the abortion was voluntary. A man that cold and vicious would stop at nothing. So I forced myself to calm down. Aborting then would have only tipped him off. He'd stay chairman, ruling the empire I bankrolled while Amparing his precious Sophie. I had to endure, to scheme, to take back everything that belonged to me. The day Sophie moved into the Sterling waterfront estate, I planted hidden cameras in every corner. The footage now in my hands proves Ethan covertly transferred assets to Sophie, grounds for a court to strip him clean. Her malicious assault alone would buy her at least 3 years behind bars. Still not enough. Far from it. I narrowed my eyes at Ethan. How does it feel, watching the woman you love slaughter your mutual child? Tonight the networks will run the headline, Sterling CEO's sweetheart beats own baby to death. Your darling is about to become the rat every cat hunts. The grand surprise he had planned for Sophie now lay in ruin. He collapsed to the floor, stunned and blank. A housekeeper tried to help, he shoved her away. Out. Everyone get out. Seconds later only the 3 of us remained. Sophie crept over and tugged Ethan's cuff. Ethan, what does Serena mean? I heard her child, why does she say it was mine? My baby miscarried by accident, didn't it? Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, locked on her. I told you again and again, wait until delivery and you'd be mistress here, own everything. Couldn't you endure a few months? Fresh from killing a fetus, Sophie wore the fragile mask of a wounded lover. I couldn't wait. You swore you'd love only me, give me your only child. Yet you lied, had one with Serena, and flaunted your protection of her right in my face. How could I bear that? Now her baby is gone, you can spoil me again, can't you? Before she finished, Ethan seized her collar and flung her aside. Enough. When didn't I spoil you? To spare you pain, I hid it all, secretly transferred your embryo into Serena so she could carry it for you. Once she delivered, I'd swallow every Vance share and hand the entire fortune to you as a wedding gift. Because you wouldn't trust me, it's all ashes. Sophie, I've endured years, spun every web, and why? Oh, you dare doubt my love? People shatter in about the same way. Sophie shook from head to toe, tears flooding, unable to speak, exactly how I'd looked when the truth first gutted me. Moments later she clawed at the blood beneath me, babbling, it's not my fault, not my fault. Ethan, you shouldn't have hidden it from me. He gave a bitter laugh. You hated Serena for coming between us. No matter how I coaxed, you stewed in that hatred 7 years. If I hadn't concealed everything and planned a grand reveal, how else could you ever feel avenged? Tell me, darling, am I so unworthy of your trust? Suddenly Sophie snapped. She sprang up and clamped her hands around my throat. It was you. You kept taunting me with that pregnancy, pretending to be clueless just to drive a wedge between Ethan and me. I spat out a mouthful of blood and gave a cold laugh. You love each other so deeply, if I hadn't used a few tricks, how could I ever make you doubt him? But no matter what, Sophie, you killed your own child with your own hands. Your future and your fortune are buried along with it. Every sentence I spoke made her emotions flare higher, she itched to strangle me to death. Ethan still had a shred of sanity left and didn't dare let things turn fatal. He came over and pulled her back. He really did love Sophie to the bone. The blood on the floor hadn't even dried before he mastered his temper, cradling her and murmuring soothingly, all right, Sophie, calm down. I swear my love for you won't lessen because of anything that's happened. So the child's gone, we'll make another. The Vance assets we can always finish off another day. His gaze returned to me and his face was nothing but gloom. I won't bother keeping score over how you set Sophie up. Take whatever is left of the Vance fortune and crawl away. Make one more move and I've got 1,000 ways to break you. For a moment I thought my ears had betrayed me. I was too dazed to react. His scheme had been exposed, yet there was no fear, no remorse, only threatening viciousness. When my head finally cleared, I burst out laughing. Ethan, I was the one who pulled you out of your worst slump and set you back on your feet. Every dollar, every connection the Vances had, I laid open for you without reserve. You didn't even feel grateful. Instead you waited until my car crash, then used me behind my back for surrogacy while you plotted to steal everything I own. Now Sophie's beaten me half to death, and you're blaming me for scheming against her? He sneered, openly scornful. Don't guilt-trip me with your so-called sacrifices. Did I ever beg you for help? Because of you, Sophie sank into depression. Even if you gave up everything to make it up to her, it would only be what you owe. At those words, the heart that had long died in me still gave an involuntary twist of hatred. Ethan, I never even knew Sophie existed, until you walked into my life and came after me on your own. To this day I feel split in two. I can't believe the man who once risked his life to drag me out of a kidnapper's den was actually the deadliest viper of them all. The triumphant grin slid from my face and settled on Sophie's. Serena, look at yourself, what do you think you are? Did you seriously believe Ethan cared about you enough to gamble his life for yours? What he's always wanted is your money. He approached you just to secure a better life for me. Even those kidnappers were hired by MMPH. Ethan clapped a hand over her mouth before she could finish. But I had already pieced everything together. The blood in my veins turned to ice. Suddenly every loose thread clicked into place. There had never been a life-saving debt, no heroics, everything about Ethan was conspiracy, a fraud. That's why none of what I did, none of what I gave, ever mattered to him. Sophie is all he sees. Even if I'd offered up my life, he would still blame me for every sleepless night she's suffered. Right then, Ethan yanked Sophie back, came over and began untying me. Remember this, you miscarried because you slipped and fell, it has nothing to do with Sophie. Not a single soul who was here will speak for you. Make trouble and I can have those kidnappers snatch you all over again. Right now more than half the Vance assets are under my control, and your parents have already retired. You know perfectly well you're no match for me. Oh, really? A cold laugh rang in my heart. I regarded him with flat contempt. And what if I insist on sending Sophie to Barkley? Sophie shrieked, Ethan, I can't go to prison. Without freedom, without you beside me, I'll die. The moment the words left her lips, Ethan's hands stilled on the ropes. Serena, I could let you bleed to death right now, bribe a doctor to sign off on an accidental death report, and have your body burned to ash. No one would ever know what happened here. His fingers brushed my throat. I felt the unmistakable intent to kill and was too terrified to make a sound. At first I hadn't realized he was the one behind my kidnapping. Now I understood he was far more vicious than my worst nightmares. He truly could murder me. For Serena, there was no line he wouldn't cross. All right. I swallowed hard. Let me go and I'll divorce you. From then on, we part ways for good. But the instant I spoke, he stopped loosening the ropes. Across the room, Sophie blinked. Ethan, Serena manipulated me into killing my own baby. What makes you think she'll keep her word and not come back for revenge? She bared her teeth in a grin. Call me filthy, call me a bitch, she still cost us our child's life. I want her dead, Ethan. With her gone, the Vance fortune is ours anyway, and we can be together openly, no more hiding. Ethan didn't answer right away, but the murderous chill radiating from him grew heavier. I lost all control and thrashed wildly. Let me go, let me out of here. Ethan sneered and tightened the ropes again. Saren. If you quietly deliver the child and hand the assets over so Sophie can vent her anger, why would I kill you? I'd even leave you a little money so you won't starve. But you knew how much Sophie means to me and you still schemed against her. Remember, you brought your own death on yourself. The blood beneath me kept spreading. I sobbed until my voice was hoarse, but he still wouldn't set me free. He was genuinely set on murder, already calling contacts at ST to arrange the paperwork. Strength spent, consciousness fading, I stopped begging. I gathered the last shards of my composure and stared at him coldly. Ethan, you remember this too. When the day comes that you've lost everything and you're barely alive, that will also be a road you chose for yourself, every step of misery will be your own doing. Sophie lunged forward and slapped me hard. Bitch, you're dying and you still dare curse us? Just then, sirens wailed outside. My parents stormed in with the police and cut me loose. Sophie stood frozen in shock at the sudden turn. What do we do? Ethan, I don't want to go to Barkley. Don't panic. We'll stick to the same story, and if push comes to shove we'll find a scapegoat to carry it for you. After calming her, Ethan shot me a venomous glare. Serena, so you still had a card up your sleeve. I bared my teeth in a bloody grin. Against filth like you, of course I came prepared. I had not only installed hidden cameras throughout the house but had also told my parents to call 911 and an ambulance if they didn't hear from me within 6 hours. The plan had been a safeguard against a sudden miscarriage, in case I died by accident. I never imagined the danger would turn out this horrifying. When I saw my parents and the officers burst through the door, the tension finally snapped and I slid into unconsciousness. When I woke again, I was in St. Mom sat by the bed, clutching my hand. Serena, what on earth happened? Don't be afraid, Mom will fight for you. Dad followed right after. Ethan and that Sophie told the police a housekeeper couldn't stand you, got into a fight, tied you up, and beat you until you miscarried. I wasn't the least bit rattled, I'd play along for a while. It still wasn't time to counterattack. I pretended my head hurt and I couldn't recall the details, so I had Ethan and Sophie come to the room. Only the three of us were there. Ethan leaned to my ear and threatened, "The housekeeper who hurt you has already been handled. Every soul on the Sterling waterfront estate will swear to it. If you're smart, forget what you're supposed to forget, unless you want to relive the terror of dying all over again." Police were stationed right outside. Even Ethan wasn't crazy enough to kill me in the ward. I struggled upright, pulled out my phone, and played a clip. I can forget, but the hidden cameras caught everything. Look, when your darling was punching me, every pore is crystal clear. The moment Ethan recognized the footage, he froze, snatched the phone, and frantically deleted it. I laughed. "Ethan, I dared to show you. Did you really think I had no backup? And it's not just this clip. Every sleazy word you whispered to Sophie while you cheated is recorded. Adultery, malicious transfer of my assets, those files will land you in Barclay and strip you clean. You'll have no money left, no leverage over me. Whereas I'm taking back what's mine. Once you and Sophie are behind bars, guess how I'll entertain your little sweetheart? Keep company with devils and some of the rot rubs off." Wearing a grin as crazed as theirs had once been, I bit back the pain, slid off the bed, and backed Sophie into the corner. "You hammered my belly until my baby died. I'll make sure you taste that pain every single day." Having seen what I'm capable of, Sophie's former arrogance was gone. Her eyes reddened and she trembled, looking to Ethan. "I can't go to prison. Think of something. I'd rather die than go to Barclay." I toyed with her chin. "Scared now? Weren't you ecstatic when you killed your own child?" "Shut up." Sophie clapped her hands over her ears and shrieked, "I didn't kill my baby, you tricked me, you set me up. Everything I did was for Ethan, so he'd keep loving me, caring about me." Even at this stage she still performed her one-woman show of undying devotion. Before I could taunt her further, Ethan barked through clenched teeth, "Enough. Serena, I never realized how poisonous you are. You plotted against me from the start." "Fine, I surrender. Let Sophie walk and I'll return every Vance asset." I knotted my brow and dug a finger in my ear. "Come again? Cut the crap, what do you want?" I stared him dead in the eye. "Everything you own is already rightfully mine, that's no bargaining chip. Hand over proof that you hired the kidnapper and hid the surrogacy from me, then march to Harborview and confess. Otherwise, watch the love of your life die a miserable death inside." I had searched, but I couldn't find hard evidence of Ethan's plot to destroy me. The only way to make this beast confess and pay was to exploit his obsession with Sophie. The animal loved her to the point of madness. If he could hide a surrogacy from me to give her a grand gesture, he could turn the knife on himself as well. What, unwilling? Seeing him hesitate, I walked toward the door. "Then there's nothing left to discuss. Tell it to the detectives." The moment I finished, Sophie dropped to her knees in front of Ethan. "Ethan, save me. You're a man, your crime isn't punishable by death. You'll live to walk out one day, and I'll wait for you. But if I'm locked up, I'll die. I swear I'll kill myself." Before her begging ended, Ethan gritted his teeth and yielded. "Fine. I'll confess. Serena, you'd better keep your word and free Sophie, because the day I'm released your whole family will pay if you don't." With that, he strode straight to the officers outside and admitted why crime. The kidnapper he once hired, the doctor he bribed, even the housekeepers, all stood trial alongside him. As for Sophie, of course I didn't free her. The instant Ethan was locked in Barclay, I handed the footage to the police. At Harborview, Sophie's eyes blazed with murderous hate. She suddenly broke free and lunged. "Bitch! You promised, how can you go back on your word?" I slapped her to the floor. "Why would I keep my word for animals like you?" Officers yanked her back. She collapsed in despair, dropped to her knees again, begged, sobbed until her voice cracked. I bent to her ear and whispered, "Stay alive, okay? Your Ethan is waiting." 5 years in Barclay, she survived. But she was barely human, half mad, half catatonic, unable to care for herself. Her mother, unwilling to keep such a burden, pocketed a few $1,000s bride price and married her off to a drunk with a record of domestic abuse. I carried photos of Sophie's bruised face and visited my ex-husband once. Inside, he still worked out, his body and looks were intact. The instant he saw those pictures and heard what she endured, he lost his mind. "Bitch! How dare you, how dare you? Wait till I'm out, I'll kill you. I'll kill you." That outburst cost him any chance of parole. Sophie was reduced to a ghost, his last hope was gone. He collapsed completely. When he finally walked free, he was no different from the broken Sophie, deranged, vacant, unable even to recognize me, just another homeless vagrant haunting the streets. I wonder if he remembers what I told him. "Ethan, you remember this. When you've lost everything and live like a wraith, it will be your own doing that drove you to a fate worse than death. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.